Hi Taurus, in the part 1 of the video, we spoke about the overview of the eclipse. Now let's go deeper into your sign. What are we going to start new? Where are we going to go to a new place? What are we starting? Which is a shift from where we have been before. More importantly, Mercury retrograde right now over here, so you will be rethinking your approach. And for you, Taurus, this is happening in the house of communication and commercial activity. So it's possible that there is a new contract, a new agreement, a new communication strategy, a new marketing, branding exercise, a new written uh, pro- project that you sort of are starting now. It could be, a book you've been meaning to write for a long time. It could be a skill that you've been thinking to put into action for a very long time. And this is expression of intuition. This is not um, this is not just something which is based on mathematical analysis. It requires everything within you to do it. It's your intuition, it's your communication from within. This is writing which is coming from the heart, or this could be art that is coming from the heart. So this is something that requires you to use your skills, which use your right brain, your creativity beyond the higher learning that you have achieved so far. So this could be you doing, even something with your hands like a handicraft or a sculpture or something related to beauty and makeup, which requires you to use your imagination. This is very creative in nature. So even if you're marketing or branding or creating a new commercial transaction out of something, you will be doing that with a creative flair to some extent. You'll be using your right brain over there. So this is very important from a business communication perspective. This is the house of commercial activity. So even if it's a creative thing that you're going to do, you'll do it with an intent to ultimately commercialize it to some extent. This is your house of thinking. So, a new way of thinking, a new skill set that you're putting into action. And this is coming with a little bit of detour. So, it's possible that you did not think that this is what I would do. This is something that is not pre-planned to some extent. It is been made, it is in has been in making over the course of last 18 months. But in terms of larger scope of life, as I said in the introductory part of the video, it's like, a man who's educated for 27 years and something else, but he decides to pursue something different because that's their heart's desire. This is this has what you're doing has profound impact on other people, mental impact on other people. And you sort of are talking, speaking, writing, journaling, expressing your deepest intuitions over here. There's some amount of emotions that are involved in your marketing, in your selling, in your writing, in your self expression here, which is what is helping you attain success over there. And that is what will help you attain success in what you're doing. And this will come with a declaration to some extent. This is happening in your house of communication. It will come with a declaration of sort. And as I said, in the introductory part of the video, people will take cardinal stance over here, radical stance, directional stance over here. So you will say to some extent or write or change the contract that you have to speak your truth over here. This could be that maybe the commercial terms that you are on right now, the commercial terms of your business, they need change and they need to be more in line to make you feel safe. Or what you're doing needs to be formally put in paper to some extent, or you need to put your art to paper, or you need to put that first draft of a book that you've been thinking of for a long time. This is when the thought process or the ideas, they become physical reality over here, and you get this courage, this infusion of courage to some extent, which is coming to some extent from a sensitivity or a wound to some extent of past as well. Maybe you've been thinking of doing it and now something wounds you to some extent, and or there is a detour that pushes you to get there. But to some extent, through some coercion or a discourse with somebody, you go for it. You get the the exact firepower that was required to get there. And this is happening at a time when Mercury, as I said, the planet of communication, is retrograde. So there is some amount of rethinking that is required before that. There's some more details that are yet to reveal itself. This could be very busy time for you when your house of communication is highlighted through eclipses and through retrogrades. It's the time when you might be very busy thinking, talking, even worrying to some extent, because you need some quiet time for clarity, but phone is ringing or things are calling for your attention, and you might be sort of worked up to some extent because you need a little bit of moment of silence to make sure that you're sure of where you're going. And there will be some amount of transportation or travel related hindrances, maybe repairs required, or the phone or the e-devices are not working as they need to be, or they need repair and changes. Maybe you drop a phone in water or something like that. You've got to be a little bit on look out for, because Mercury is retrograde in your house of transportation and communication. So you're more liable to have those issues to some extent with e-devices, with transport, with travel. You want to watch out for speeding over here. It's the time when we have to take a step back. We have to have this radical new start. But because Mercury is retrograde, over especially the next 10 days till 30th of June, when Sun and Mercury meet each other till 30th of June, you need to reconsider certain things. It's the time when we shouldn't rush into new contracts. It's the time to repair, to research, to have a discussion with people, gain more information from your immediate environment. It's this is also the house of sibling. So it's possible that your relationship with your sibling, there might be some back and forth with them, especially the younger sibling. It's also a time when your co-workers, there's some more information that needs to come about it. So there will be more data, more communication, more media activity, more commercial information that needs to come up for you to be clear about things. At this time, double check your communication, stay flexible, do deeper work, rewrite, review, rethink, reconnect, avoid arguments if you can, slow down a little bit, don't sign contracts, don't commit yet till at least end of this month. Review, because there's more information regarding this new start that needs to come to you. There could be a little bit of misunderstanding with immediate environment, could be with sibling, could be with associates, could be with neighbors, because Mercury is the planet of communication in your house of immediate environment. So your communication with your immediate environment could be a little bit compromised. You'll see another side of those people. There could be a change in the life of your sibling. Your neighborhood might be changing. It's the time to stay flexible and acknowledge the role of others in your life, because you will see another side of them. You'll see another side of your immediate environment, how to interact with them, how to get more information from them, how to interact with them in a way where your boundaries and their boundaries are taken care of. As I mentioned, your boundaries will get challenged over here. So it's possible that we have a little bit of boundary issues with our neighbors. It's possible that we have boundary issues with our sibling over here that will come to light. You will form new way to connect with other people. Maybe with the sibling, a new communication method, with neighbors, a new communication method. But that is part of Mercury retrograde. Minor annoyances. At a deeper level, what's happening here is a new start in in a commercial activity. This is a skill set, a new skill set that you're putting into action, and you might have been prepping for it. You've been thinking of it. This is not something which is coming out of the blue. You've been working on it, but the final destination of where you want to go is shifted from where you were going. So I'll give you an example. For example, you are a good orator. You are a person who has no issue in putting their words into action, or you have an innate skill to sell something, to sell somebody something on the basis of your deeper thinking. What you're selling is changing here. What you're writing, if you had decided to write a book, the content of that book, or what you were trying to convey from that, that is changing. So there's a slight detour on the destination of what you're marketing, what you're selling, what you're writing, what you're expressing over here. But this is done to add commercial value to it. And also because it needs to involve more of you in it to some extent. It's possible that what art you were doing or writing you were doing or your business communication or the commercial contract that you had, it did not have more of you in it, in the sense that more of you was not being disclosed over there. So for example, if it's a commercial contract that is going through review over here and a new commercial contract is being put through, the old commercial contract did not give you enough of what you needed out of it. It was not giving you enough freedom, or it was not keeping you safe in some ways. It was not taking care of your purpose to some extent. So this is an eclipse which is giving you something, giving you a commercial activity, giving you a commercial opportunity, giving you a writing opportunity, giving you a branding opportunity, giving you an opportunity to start again in a commercial capacity. But whatever you're branding, communicating, or marketing, it is not uh, it is not cold cut. It has an emotional underpinning to it. It requires your creativity. It requires the use of your right mind to some extent. So um, as I said, there will be a little bit of filter in your social life which will happen when we have Mercury retrograde in our house of communication with our sibling, with our neighbors, with our immediate surroundings. There is a little bit of chance of miscommunication which happens, and most of that miscommunication, in my view, will happen in the next 10 days to some extent. So you want to be a little bit careful in terms of writing that email, typing out that message, or just saying something, and it will come from your heart. It's possible that that thing needs to be said, that boundary needs to be set, that line needs to be drawn to some extent with that neighbor, with that sibling, with that co-worker, with that immediate environment person. But we are learning how to say it so we don't burn our bridges, but we set the right boundaries as well. So just hold a little bit back. It will come as a surge to some extent. Cancer retrogrades come with a surge. It's a water sign, so emotions surge and we have to say it. So be a little bit careful when that happens. It's going to happen to all of us. I'm telling you, we are all going to be a little bit more than normal, riled up to some extent emotionally during the next 10 days. So social filter, we need to be a little bit careful of. And similarly, if there's a contract that you're signing, I would highly recommend that the contract is signed after 12th of July. But if you have to sign it, put some disclaimers in it, put some scope for change in it, so you're able to shift things if you get more information. And in my view, there will be more information that will come to light. That's what happens when Mercury retrograde happens. More information comes to light, and we have Jupiter Pluto conjunction as well, which bursts a bubble. Things that we were not seeing before, they come to light during this time, and they will come to light very quickly. We're talking of the next 2 to 3 weeks at this time. So but look at the shift which is happening commercially for you. Look at the shift that is happening in terms of, you did not have the courage earlier to do it, but now this is like mound of courage to shift allegiance. You decide to change direction. You can completely change your speciality over here. This is the area in which we were how we were branding ourselves, how we were marketing ourselves. So you can completely change how you brand yourself, how you market yourself, what is the communication strategy of your business, what is the messaging, what is the written content, what is the contract, what is the text of it. You can completely change that over here. In terms of professions, writing, journaling, poetry, art, the professions where words have emotional, profound mental impact on other people, they can gain enormously during this time. And using the softer side of you, using that, that lovable side of Taurus, the Venus inside you, the heart inside you, using that more in your communication, using that more in your writing, using that more in marketing, in branding, in selling yourself, and selling whatever you're doing, in the contracts that you have, using more of that, lovable core that all Taurus have within themselves, the emotional thinker. The Taurus always thinks, they always have some part of their thinking coming from the heart. That emotional thinking needs to be put to use over here. So good luck for that, Taurus, and I'll see you in the next video now.